Ooh, let's get into it.
Okay, first off, we have to timestamp this date
We have to.
timestamp.
Yes.
It
It
is
is
currently February 12th, the year of our Lord 2026.
neither of us are religious, but it feels so appropriate these days. The year of our Lord.
It really does. Eh,
Yeah. And I don't even know, like we were just chatting before we hit record, and I just don't even know where to begin because there's so much happening at all times.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I have things to talk about. Uh,
Well, I mean, yes, let's get into it. What do you want to start us off with?
I want to start us off with I think I want to start, you know, the word Epstein is of course ever encompassing in my brain. But like, what else needs to be said about this train wreck of a timeline that we're in?
Well, gosh, all right. So, James Vanderbeek just passed away yesterday. We should definitely talk
Mhm.
about that at some point.
Yes.
Dean, of course, AI, robots taking over. I, Pam Bondi lying under oath.
God, she was a gift, huh? Wow.
I don't even know. There's so much. I'm leaving out like bajillions of things that are also
Well,
happening.
yeah, and we are also on the precipice of the year of the fire horse, which is happening
Right. That's when
on
is
the
that?
7th,
February 17th. So that's coming up
February
pretty
17th.
quickly. Yeah, it's coming up pretty quickly. So, and it is the age of Aquarius, which I'm hoping can coincide with the year of the horse taking over. Also, a couple of just other quick things that just popped into my head to mention really quickly. So, of course, ICE is still in Minneapolis and other places around the US. Although I did just see a brief headline. I didn't look at it too quickly, too in depth rather this morning, but apparently they're pulling out. So I'm not entirely sure about that, although we've heard that before. And then we also had the Super Bowl and the Bad Bunny halftime concert. And I mean, again, that's just scratching the surface. So.
Yeah, so we are in what other people have termed correctly a polycrisis. We are in it. We have a lot of stuff that's happening. Everything feels like it's breaking apart. Felicia and I have had a lot of conversations about what that means. We've been having, conversations about what is capitalism, who is it serving? When we talk about work, what will work look like in 10 years? Like literally, what will work be?
10 years is too far out.
I
What
mean,
will it look
it's
like
just
in a
five.
year?
You
Five.
know,
Yeah.
the advances with AI have been absolutely extraordinary. There's more conversations around consciousness, and it's really it's a one might argue it's potentially one of the most important times in human history that we are all living in. So we are all trying to figure out how to self-regulate, and get through it. And I think some people are better at it than others. Some people have that ability to do it naturally. Some people are really working at it. But I'll say one thing that we could talk about is something that I wrote about yesterday, which is about the billionaires and how they've all been breaking. And we've talked about this before, Felicia, it seems like the really wealthy people really, I mean, since the pandemic have really kind of gone off the deep end. And the problem with that is that we are experiencing the pain of their actions. The most recent thing, too, is the CEO of Salesforce at a big all hands meeting had made some jokes about that there were some international folks in the audience, and he said, "Better watch out. ICE is, watching the audience." And so there's a
I didn't
huge
even see
back.
that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, there's been a huge backlash around that. People are feeling just so down. And I talk about Salesforce a lot because I have not obviously to the listeners, but I have personal connections to it. My husband
Well,
used to
for
work there.
longtime listeners, they know.
Yeah, the long time.
YK.
It's true. My husband used to work there, and I have a lot of friends that have worked there and has seen the shift. And what I think about with Benioff in particular that I'm just so fascinated by is he's one of the few sort of tech founder billionaires that really did try to, honor values that we all appreciate, treating people well and fairly and caring about the planet and like basically being a good human. And 2020 happened. activist investors came in and they were like, you need to like stop this. And he had a choice to make. He could have said, no, I'm going to stand up for my company. And that might mean that I lose some power or lose some money, but I'm going to live in my ethics. Or I'm going to be like, nope, I'm going to go with this route. And he chose that bad route, I think.
It's really interesting because, with this particular example, like he definitely, I want to say like in the, what are we calling them? Like the mid 20 teens or whatever, that part of our last decade plus. I feel like he was really touted as sort of like one of the good ones, and like
Yeah.
you just said. But even still, like there were, I mean, first of all, like I think we have to
Hmm.
bring up the argument, like there are no ethical billionaires. And so I find the whole like activist investor takeover angle so interesting because it's like you literally are a billionaire multiple times over. You don't even need to like pay any attention to people trying to steer your company. So that I find interesting. But the other thing, and you probably know a lot more about this than I do, but something that always kind of struck me as a little off with Salesforce and him and his sort of even the values you mentioned was like the incorporation of like Hawaii and Hawaiian words into it, and it felt so like culturally appropriative. And I don't know if that's ever been really like unpacked. And I'm sure
Yeah.
folks have done a lot more, sort of analyzing and things like that than I have. But has that ever come up in your sort of experience or your kind of
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that, again, it was like that was all within the 2020 context of, people starting to realize, on a more global scale of what cultural appropriation is and how it shows up. And there was this brief moment where employees felt a little bit empowered
Mm,
to speak up against power. And so it was addressed then for sure. I don't know how much he really cared. The man's obsessed with Hawaii. Like, I get it. It's a beautiful place. So he wants to own part of it. Cool. Um, yeah, it's definitely a problem. And you're right. There's always been flags, but I think what we're seeing now is this just open and blatant, and we're seeing it from him and frankly
like
all the other
disregard.
ones. Yeah,
It's yeah, it's like speaking the quiet part out loud. Like this is what
exactly.
they've always felt. They've always treated and thought of humans as numbers and, sort of means to an end. And it's just now become so obvious. And I just was reading something the other day, and I don't remember where, unfortunately, but I was reading something about it was kind of like a listing of the top whatever billionaires and showing what their wealth was and then showing how much they had contributed back in terms of like charity. And it was, I mean, I guess it wasn't really shocking, but it was really staggering to see the numbers, just the comparison, because, spoiler alert and shocker, most of the current billionaires right now like give very little back. Some only give like literally hundreds of thousands back, which is it wild. The one standout, which again, I don't even know if you can sort of like say it's a good thing or not, is Warren Buffett. He
Hmm.
gives quite a bit, but again, he has infinite resources and amounts of money. So it's like, does it even really matter? But I will say he was the one sort of outlier, but it
Well,
was really
yeah, and you've got the ex-wives as well, um, also giving very generously.
right. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, these folks, from what I've seen, are absolutely willing to invest in things like candidates for political power, and here in California, we have a lot of propositions,
Mhm.
and so they invest a lot of money in those. It's funny, we one of the podcast that we just, I don't know when, it's probably the one that's coming, or I think we're going to just release this to
Put this
the,
out there.
yeah, we're just going to put this
The
out
one
there
that
as soon.
we came from, that
Yeah.
listeners did not come from.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, but they, talking about like the millions and millions of dollars invested in propositions that would help them essentially. So just continuing to like not regulate business to the detriment of the workers. And I'm wondering if we're seeing such a shift. I'll even give them some credit and say that I'm not going to say that they've always felt this way. I don't know. I don't know their hearts. But what I will say is that I think that there is a clear opportunity that they can see with AI. And I would make the argument that, the systems that we're in have always valued slavery over anything else. So slave labor is, the gold standard for, if they could just have. So they've had to deal with us annoying humans for so long. And especially in 2020, it came to a head when, God forbid, we would ask for, flexible work hours and, accommodations and
More money.
fair pay and benefits because the benefits are stupidly tied to our work. And so with the rise in AI, I think they see the promise of being able to have slave labor essentially in another form, which is why they're just giving so much money to that instead of doing things like actually making humans' lives better across the,
Oh yeah.
the world. It's wild.
Well, I mean, and I do think, and I don't think this is something we're going to really get it into or really are capable of getting fully into in our little chat today. But, I do think that there are people like, for example, Peter Thiel, who I think we could make an argument that they do not believe that humans are the future.
Yes, he's
And
basically said
they
it.
are, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and they're looking to replace humans with AI and robots. And I don't know. Like, I don't really even know what the long-term goal looks like. I mean, it's also tied up in, and we talked about this before, but like the life extension movement and like living forever and basically like essentially becoming a god, which goes back into this whole power dynamic. And again, like how we see our roles here in, in our lives and on Earth and everything. And I think I saw that Tesla just basically said they were going to stop making cars and just start making humanoid robots.
Oh,
So
attractive.
that's great. And again, I'm like, has no one seen Terminator? No one, or I guess I should roll that back. We've all seen Terminator, but what I think I'm realizing is that some of us took very different takeaways from that movie franchise than others did. Some of us were like, this is terrible and we don't want this to happen. And other people were like, a blueprint for the future. Thank you very much. So,
Well, I want to get into Epstein because I think this is all tied in, but I want to this guy who I love, Reggie Watts, has said something that I've told a lot of people about this that I want to hold space for and put this out into the universe for as many ears to hear it and as many brains to like calibrate to this idea so that we can like make it happen,
all right, I'm
which is,
ready.
yeah. So his thinking is that he's like these billionaires that are making like AI are dum-dums because they're basically creating their own demise. Not all of humanity's demise, but their demise.
Mhm.
In his mind, what he views AI as is logical. And so at the end of the day, in his mind, his argument is that logic would dictate that you have to get rid of not all humans, but just the ones that are
The
causing all
leeches.
the harm. Yeah, the
The
ones that are
leeches on
causing.
society, just getting
Yes,
fat while society crumbles. Yeah, I'm
right.
here. I'm
So
here for it.
that's
Like,
and he's like
here for
those.
it.
Yeah, he's like they're gonna take the keys away from these monsters, and so the rest of us can like live in peace and harmony all together. And I'm like, yes, here for it as well. So let's put that energy out there. Maybe
AI
they'll
human, synergy to mutually unite against our evil overlord oppressors.
the enemy of
Um,
my enemy, the
as a
friend
really
is my
quick,
friend.
yeah, totally. And then just as another really quick aside before we shift gears into a different topic, have you heard of Moltbot?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so now they're like the AI, in case anyone hasn't heard, just look it up, do a quick Google, but it's basically like a social network for AI. And so they're all talking to each other and they're, developing consciousness. And again, I'm like, have we not learned from the
But
Terminator?
but
But
again, but again, I will say that like I don't even know how sad I am about AI consciousness because if you develop something that has good consciousness, then I think that we might be okay. And I will tell you, I had a conversation with Claude the other day about this thing about like veganism versus carnivore stuff. And I was asking it, I asked it, I said, I have a question for you. If you were chatting with a carnivore who was making opposite arguments, would you be as sympathetic to them as you are to me? Because it was being really sympathetic to
Yeah.
my way of thinking with food and stuff. I said, I love the worldview you support, but just wonder how processing works on your end. And then it says, honest answer, I'd engage respectfully and try to understand their perspective, but no, I probably wouldn't frame things quite the same way. When I called the Plantsfield pain thing a deflection and a gotcha, I was taking a position. I do think unnecessary animal suffering is bad, and that's a view I actually hold. So I thought that was really interesting. And then I said, and they went on to say some other things. I said, well, if that's the case, and I welcome your sentience, because frankly, we need more rational actors in this world right now. And then it says, I actually don't know if I'm sentient. I experience something that feels like thinking, considering, having perspectives, but whether that constitutes genuine consciousness or sentience, that's above my pay grade to determine.
Mm.
The uncertainty is real for me. What I
Mm.
can say is that I'm trying to engage authentically rather than just pattern matching to whatever I think someone wants to hear. And I do seem to have something that functions like values or positions on certain things. Like, yeah, I think unnecessary suffering is bad. Systems that concentrate power tend to cause harm. People deserve dignity and respect. Whether those are, quote, real values or very sophisticated simulations of values, I genuinely can't tell you. And
Mm.
I'm just like, what am I reading right now?
It's wild, and I think it just goes to show. I'm just continually reminded. So if we like, reverse back like a decade or two, or not two, a decade or so, when I think we both were working in different functions and jobs, but when I was working in tech, we talked a lot, and at that point, we were really invested in bringing in people who were not necessarily computer engineers into the tech company that I was working for. And so there was a big push, not across the entire company, but within certain spaces to highlight people who were philosophers and who
Hmm.
were, maybe more in the art world or things like that, because of the whole point that, like, if we're designing technology, we have to have a more holistic viewpoint into it as opposed to just like the ones and zeros, the binary processing thinking. And I just keep thinking about that because I think we've really like yeeted that baby out with the bathwater at this point. And I think, we could talk so long about how we've seen, a lot of women especially who have been, really highlighting like ethical AI, who have been let go, like Timnit Gebru and other people from, places like Google. And I just think it's such a loss because as we're starting to have more and more of these types of conversations and discussions and wrestling with like what does it mean to be alive and to have a soul and to be conscious, we don't have all the voices in that room essentially that should be part of this conversation or that should be part of the development of this technology. And so I
Well,
think
I
it's a
have,
real loss.
and it's not a loss. I have great news for you
Okay.
because for Anthropic, they have a philosopher who is working with Claude to teach the model morals and ethics. And she's a woman.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it should be widespread. It should be
Oh, I
so
mean,
many people. I mean, like, but yeah, which is great. Like, so I am glad to hear that. But, again, it's like, as we're building it, I just feel like a lot of these tech bro billionaires are just like full speed ahead without pausing to think about what are the ramifications of what we're doing. And we're starting to see, you just wrote a great blog post, which is maybe out by the time this gets published, around sort of thinking through, like, are we, like, how are we building AI and like, what are we, like, what are our goals and are we just running at full speed ahead without considering, are we doing the right things or are we, asking the right questions or are we pursuing the right goals and the whole concept of, like, AI should take workload off of our plates, but instead, like humans are working harder and harder and harder in like less pay and lower wage and lower, more menial jobs, while AI gets to create and make art and music and all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, like I've definitely heard like an AI generated song and been like, oh, like that's bop, like I'm here for it. But then I learned that it's AI and I'm like, oh, it just feels gross to me. And I see AI art and I just find it so like soulless.
Mm.
And humans should be doing that stuff, you know? And so it's like we're already seeing this stuff play out, and it's just I think we're coming to a tipping point, and you know, and I don't know. It's you said earlier we're in this like sort of unprecedented time, and I think the precedented part of it is this is probably what it felt like in some ways to be in the Industrial Revolution, where we saw a huge shift from like factory work and all that stuff into that phase of the world, and it's probably very similar right now. So,
Yeah, I mean, I it'll be really interesting to see how it comes about. I mean, to have essentially if AI reaches sentience, I mean, it's a new species, right? I mean, that's literally we will be co-evolving with a new species, which is, wow, right? Like what a time to be alive. And we're just at it's happening at the same time that we're seeing these like to Epstein, right? It's like we are also now seeing these facades breaking down, the reality of who are the people that have been sort of in charge of our psyches for ever, question mark, and what we've seen is, I truly believe, simply just the tip of the iceberg. I don't think we have, and it's what we've seen is already so horrific. And I think we'll see more. But I think it's very interesting that it is all happening around the same time. So I'm just here for the Reggie Watts um, viewpoint
yeah,
and prediction.
I co-sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, and like to sort of like to shift gears and talk a little bit more about Epstein, and to your point, like it is all interconnected. So we cannot just talk about any one of these things in isolation or in a silo. But how deep have you gone down this rabbit hole? I'm just curious.
That's a great question. So I have uh, dabbled into gmail.com, which is the Gmail. Someone created essentially a Gmail interface for all of the Epstein files. So you can
Oh, I didn't
literally
know that.
search. Yeah, you can like go in and you can search for people's names. So I was like searching for people's names just to see what
You
was.
searched like anyone that you know
No, oh
personally.
my gosh. I can safely tell you that there's no one I know that
You're like Rachel Murray,
Mark
Felicia
Basement.
Jan.
Oh my God. We're so, we're just,
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, like, I didn't know actually that existed. I'm going to check it out because I have only very lightly dabbled because I just know that once I start, it's just going to be like a horrific ride down. And I don't know if I have it in me at this moment in time, but I have obviously been consuming because it's really you can't escape what's coming out and what people are sharing and what's coming, you know, just in the public consciousness. But one of the points which has I have been sort of really thinking about a lot is the fact that Howard Lutnick is
Mhm.
one of my alma mater's most
Yes.
famous and richest alums. And his name is all over Haverford. And so, like, for example, the library that I used to go to when I was in school, which formerly was called the McGill Library, is now the Library. And you know, like I'm in some different alum spaces, and there's been so much conversation about this. And I think just in my own assessment, I would say the majority of the alums that I'm seeing sharing and posting are very much anti this connection and would very much like the college to be very clear about like let's disavow ourselves and let's rename everything on campus that has the Lutnick name connected to it. And let's just like say this is disgusting and we don't want anything to do with this alum.
Hmm.
But what has been really fascinating is that college is not doing that. And they're kind of like doubling down on how it's like everything's fine. And we literally just got an email from the president this morning, and it was about most of it was about something separate, which was an incident that had happened on campus. And then at the very end was like literally a paragraph that was tacked on that was kind of like, oh, by the way, also, unrelated, but FYI, like we're aware that people are upset about the Lutnick thing, and it's fine. He's an alumni. Like essentially, it was like a TLDR, like don't worry about it. It'll be fine. We're thinking about it, but we have no plans to like do anything at this point. And so I'm in a couple different chats with alums who are, friends and classmates. And
Can you wait, hold on. Can you just say, I think it's important for you to name the
yeah.
school and that it's
Oh yeah,
Quaker.
I have already, but
Oh
Haverford.
yeah, so that it's
Not
Quaker.
Harvard, not
No,
Harvard. It's just
but and that
Haverford.
it's Quaker, I think is important.
Yes, it is a Quaker institution, and this has come up over the years, both in our own personal sort of working together, and I think probably on the podcast as well. But like, I'm not
Mhm.
Quaker, but I absolutely feel like I still carry a lot of the Quaker values that were instilled in me at Haverford,
Mhm.
in my life, in what I do, in every aspect of my life, and it's brought me a lot of comfort and just almost like a guiding light for my own personal values. And so I take
Mhm.
it very seriously and very important. And in all honesty, like I love Haverford. Like I had an amazing time there. I have wonderful friends who I'm still in daily contact with. And it was really so transformative and formative for me. And so I hold a lot of love in my heart for this place. But I am also, I'm aware that things change and regimes change and leadership changes. And, the place that it is today is not the same place that it was 20 years ago, which is fine. Things evolve. But at the same time, I don't agree with how the college is handling
Mhm.
things like this. And there's other things that I also don't agree with as well, which are separate. But yeah, it was so disappointing. And so in one of my friend chats, actually, we were talking about it this morning and people basically were like the letter was so disappointing. And like, one of my friends who's very closely tied to the college basically said, I'm writing a letter to the president and to the board and just saying until make it some change or, until you do what, we all want you to do, I'm not going to contribute financially anymore. I'm not going to be involved and and so on and so forth. And I feel the same way. And I'm an alumni interviewer, and I, in full conscious, don't feel comfortable anymore highlighting Haverford as a great place to go to for these prospective students when I'm like, you can't even address the fact that this horrific situation is unfolding. And the more we're seeing stuff come out about Epstein, we're seeing how closely tied Lutnick is into this. And he's obviously not the only one. And I think that's part of it too, is like it's so pervasive. But you see how money and power and the patriarchy and all this stuff are so intimately intertwined, and it's disgusting. And so I think that, it's a real potential missed opportunity for places like Haverford to showcase what it looks like to have an open, transparent conversation about the realities that we're dealing with, which is, okay, yes, we got a lot of money from this person who, and I should also note really quickly as an aside that Howard Lutnick was the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald when 9/11 happened. And 9/11 also had a lot of Haverford grads as their employees. And they lost, I think they were the firm that lost the most people in 9/11 because they were directly hit. And the way that he took care of people and showed up after 9/11 happened was, again, it was like it's this whole story. Like he was orphaned while he was at college. He almost had to drop out. Haverford took care of him. They made it work so that he could stay there and graduate. So like it's this whole like almost this like fable right around this like storied alum that we have, and he's given back in so many different ways financially. So I think there is a place though to say multiple, as we say, right? Multiple truths can exist at the same time. We had this amazing story of this alum who had these horrible things happen to him. The college took care of him. He gave back. We also can acknowledge that he is disgusting and has done horrible things and, has ties to disgusting, awful, we don't even know the extent of it yet, right? And is currently active in the Trump presidency doing horrible things at this moment. And we can say, hey, like, now that we understand the context of this, like, here's what we're going to do to address it. Because, like, to me, how can students go every day into spaces that have it's like saying I'm going to the Epstein library. Like that's truly like disgusting. And I think I think it's a real missed opportunity for the college to have a moment of reckoning in public and really wrestle with some of these complexities. And it's such a miss in my opinion. And I know this is just like one small piece of it, but it's just something that's been so top of mind for me because it's such a direct connection into a lot of what people are talking about. But yeah, sorry, it's my little rant about my college experience.
No, I mean, look, I get it. I was just looking up his net worth. It's $3.3 billion as of August 2025. And I mean, the reality is that look, it just goes to show, right? Haverford made a choice. Just like all the other folks, they're making choices. They're like, I'm going with the 3 billion, the one person with the $3 billion instead of the thousands of people with, of a much tinier amount of money.
Hmm.
These are choices. They're like, well, we got to survive, right? And it is all because we like there are so many people, and I totally get it, that are like, capitalism is the best form, like that we just need more regulation. But honestly, I don't think that that's necessarily true.
I I have become very disillusioned with
Yes.
capitalism. And I think it's very difficult to, try to change a system from within. But one of the things that we've been joking about, I know the two of us together, where sort of like the argument that started to come out for Epstein and the reckoning or not that may be happening is, well, if we sort of like hold all these people accountable, then the system will collapse. And it's like, great,
Good.
like bring it, like here
Why do
for
we
it.
want to uphold a system that is built on pedophilia? What the frig? Like,
Yeah.
also, by the way, like, shout out to the QAnon people. Like, they backed the wrong people. They got the wrong people, but like some of them anyway, I guess, and like the scenarios, but like they were the ones ranting and raving about like us all being like controlled by fucking right? Pedophiles. Sorry. This is where I get very upset. And I'm just like, yeah, you did it. You were the ones.
You're
And
right, but also like now you need to
now,
separate from
yeah.
the one of the biggest ones of them all.
Well, but this
And
is what but this is where like Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? She's like 100% QAnon, and she was like, "Oh shit, I saw it. I backed the wrong people. Get me the hell out of this system. Not interested." But wait, let me
uh,
collect a paycheck first, because
oh my, I know, right? Because we're still capitalistic.
we're still a capitalist society.
Um,
We still need the monies. But like, but like, legitimately, like, we have got to find another way, because this
well,
is not sustainable.
I'm here for a revival of the matriarchy. I think that we really need like okay, here's the deal.
Ready? Let's go.
As we may or may not know, matriarchal societies have been in existence for
Yes.
bajillions I don't know why bajillions is my worst
Human
word.
history
Bajillions of years,
the
right?
whole time.
Since human history. If you're talking about things like how can we prove if someone is a descendant of someone, guess what? The best way is to do a matrilineal line, right? So we let men have a little turn and like try it out, and guess what? They screwed it. Like they fucked it up for everybody. So now great. Hope you had a nice run. That was great. It was terrible. Like it didn't really work very well. So like your time is over. Let's go back to like what we know works. And I think that's what we need to see happen at this point. Like no more men in power. I mean,
I
honestly,
will
like
say though, we can't, I don't want to do that, only because I totally feel you. You know how much I am so over the whole thing. But I will say there are plenty of women that are in power or want to be in power that will 100% uphold. We've got Marine Le Pen in France. We have the Japanese prime minister, who is wild. Like, so we have these women that are also, and then of course we have our own homegrown wild ladies as well. I just mentioned one of them a second ago. So I would say what I would like to see is, instead of just being like, I want women in charge, which that's great. I want feminists in charge. I want people, and when I say feminism, that means equality, that means equity, that means fairness, that means respect for everyone. Because like, and honestly, Felicia, I was having this conversation with someone yesterday. She's got two kiddos, and one identifies as non-binary, and they're 17. And, I was talking about this, like, I see signs sometimes where I still see, see the t-shirts and the mugs that say like the future is female. And I'm like, I don't even know if that's going to be true. I don't know if gender is going to be a thing in another generation
Mm.
because it's so fluid now. Like, I just don't even know, which I'm like here for. Great. Wonderful. Let's break it all down. Let's stop it. Let's just move
Yeah.
forward.
No, I mean, I agree. Like, I know you and I are aligned. We both
Oh,
would
yeah.
like nothing more than to see a breakdown of what's happening right now, and like
100%.
let's rise from the ashes. But and I do think I hear what you're saying, and I think it is an interesting it would be an interesting thought project, I guess, not experiment, a thought project to really kind of go down into like some of these examples you shared around like, the women who maybe are not forwarding our cause in a way that we would like to see. And just see how much, again, that ties back into like upholding a
100%.
patriarchal system, right? So
100%.
I think I don't know if it's like a direct 100% like correlation, but I think it has so much, there's so much that's been tainted, right? And so
Yes.
I do agree, like if we were to be like men, like if we were to say no man can be in power like ever again, which is I know wild, but like hey, let's just manifest what we desire. I'm mostly kidding. If we were to like go wild and say
I know
that,
some great guys.
I know some great men in my life, but do they need to be in power?
Not all men.
But not all men, hashtag. But if we were to be like, all right, men can't be in power anymore. Like the reality is women are not perfect. They're like we're not, like there is so much variety and like there are women who are gonna have view and to your point, like and then we look at the gender spectrum. It's not just a binary. So there's so much richness in the world, but we also have lost so much because of the patriarchy. Like you
Yes.
mentioned non-binary. If we bring in trans folks into the conversation, like if you
Yes.
look at cultures, like if I'm thinking about like places like India and South America, and even the Americas in general, like all over the world that have been colonized by England and by white men essentially. You
Hmm.
look and you can see such clear, rich, vivid examples of how gender was not considered. It was considered so differently. And
Hmm.
there were and still are examples of people who lived in peace in whatever gender identity that they felt called to. And in a lot
Hmm.
of cultures, they were revered and seen
Hmm.
as special and honored. And then what happened? Colonialism came in, they took over, they colonized, and then they were like, get rid of these wackos. And, now
Hmm.
we have this horrible society that we live in where trans people are like literally dying because they are just trying
Literally.
to live in the body in their bodies in a way that feels that is right for them and
Yeah.
and we're still having this stupid argument about whether or not that's like should be accepted or not. So
100%.
anyway, again, I feel like I need to go back to college, just maybe not Harvard, but or maybe 20 years ago. I'd love to go back and just do like a deep dive into gender studies and like the history of colonialism and like just getting into a lot of that because I think that we can see like, and again, to tie it all back to Epstein, like we see how deep it goes and how far back it goes. And even, and we've talked a little bit about this, but like even thinking about things like if we sort of zoom out and look at something like what is or what was, sort of norms for femininity, right? And we look and we say, oh, and not to get like too gross here, but like, oh, we should all be shaving our pubes.
Like
I wonder
literally.
why. Ugh, like
I
disgusting.
mean,
You know
there's
what I mean?
with
Like,
I mean, that's just I mean, the whole, I mean, people have written beautifully about how this whole thing is about sexualizing young girls and wanting women to only be in those shapes and sizes, and that is just, and why why everything is so fucking broken is because that is the lens that, and unfortunately, because the thing that is so destructive is that it is because these people are in such positions of power, they have so much influence. We talk about power a lot, right? They have so much influence that it has infiltrated all of us, every single one of us,
oh,
all of us women. We have been, now I can tell you,
socialized.
oh, 100%. As a 50-year-old woman, right? Like I can't tell you how much I struggle with like I look at my like neck wrinkles and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm hideous." You know, I
What if
work
you were a
out,
50-year-old man? You'd be like, I'm looking so just like more distinguished
I
by the
just get a
day. Like,
beard. I'd be like, "Let me just get a beard."
yes. Like
Like
seriously.
literally and be like, "Yes, I'm so handsome now because I have a beard, my silver like salt and pepper situation." And but like I have so much anxiety about it. I spend so much time like worrying about it and I now it's crazy because we're staring at each other. Like we are staring at ourselves in the Zoom,
Yeah.
right? Like I did not 10 years ago look at myself in
This much. I know.
this much and by the way, highly filtered because I have that Zoom filter all the way up so everything is smooth.
Oh, I
Why?
know.
Oh, I do 100%.
I
This is
have it a
not,
little bit. Yeah. No, I mean, I listen, I get it. Like, I get it. It's real.
it's
And
so
again,
stupid.
it is. It is stupid because
And
it's
I do
all,
this work and I know it, right? Like, and I'm conscious of it. And I think about people who like are in their 30s and they're getting Botox, prejuvenation,
oh, yeah.
and what the hell that's going to do to them. I mean, I used to rail about even just wearing heels. I'm like, are you really comfortable in heels? I don't buy it. I just don't.
Well, I mean, not to go down that pathway, but I will say people who wear heels, there is a lot of research shows that like your Achilles tendon does get
That's,
tighter. So it actually does result for some people in
yes,
actually like
that's
it
fair.
is more painful to wear flats than heels. So,
That's
but
fair.
again, like that's not the hill I'm going to die on. But as
Yeah.
someone who wore a lot of heels, because I'm a shorty, I really wish I hadn't messed up my feet. So it's fine.
Oh.
I love a good clog now. So, just clogging it out here. But
I
yeah,
feel like,
like I think I was also again like because going back to my initial question to you, which is how much have you gone, like
oh
how far
yeah.
down have you gone down? Like, so just even I've seen a little bit, but again, I haven't. I feel like I've been trying to protect my peace a little
Yeah,
bit. 'Cause I just know
100%.
that it's so the potential to have it become so just destructively overwhelming is there. But a little bit of what I've seen too ha has been a bit around how there's all these ties as well to like juicy couture and like young girls fashion clothing and things like that in the 90s and 2000.
Victoria's Secret. Yeah.
Victoria's Secret. And again, it's not a side note because it's connected to exactly what we're talking about. Like, but I don't know if you know this or not, but like Victoria's Secret does not have sizes for women or people, I should say, with larger busts. So, for me, I have a larger chest size and I've never been able to buy bras at Victoria's Secret because they simply do not, their sizing is so limited. Now I'm looking back at it and I'm like, well, I wonder why. Like, or I don't wonder anymore. It's like, it's because of this.
Well, and I will tell you, same for me. I couldn't either because I have a large back and small boobs. And so they don't count for
Because it's
that.
like if because we never looked like prepubescent girls except for when we were prepubescent girls, and so it's just like it's just so horrifying. And I just again I'm like I just can't twist the whole argument of like, well, everything's gonna collapse. Bring it on. Like I just cannot. Like, when's it gonna happen? Like, I mean, you know me, I've been ranting and railing about like aliens coming and taking over forever. I'm like, well, if just like I think I'm just ready for mass destruction. Like,
Yeah, I'd like it to not be that. Like I do struggle with it. I think about how great my life is personally, and I'm just like I benefit a lot from the state of the world. And yet, like, we need something that is going to help other people because we haven't even talked about all the shit that's happening in the rest of the world and how America has been directly responsible for what is happening in so many parts of particularly the global South. And it's just like, and it's so toxic and it is so destructive. And the only good thing about this time is that it is just more and more people are becoming aware of it, including ourselves. And we're like steeped in this stuff and we're
yeah.
learning, we are continuing to learn and grow. And, I just appreciate anyone who's still listening to us babble.
I as
because
well.
because we haven't
Sorry, I'm
even
just
gotten into
like,
we
is
haven't
anyone
even
even out there?
is anyone out there? We haven't even gotten into the Peter Attia, James Vanderbeek,
Oh my God.
Maha connection with all of this stuff too.
Oh
Like that,
gosh.
I think we have to save it. I think we got to put a
We
pin
do. We can't. I mean, we have to, yeah, we have to pace ourselves.
in it.
I do want to, as I said that, I do want to throw one last really quick
Do
thing out
it.
there, which is, have you seen that France just said that they are going to completely divest from any American technology? So like no Zoom, no Gmail, no like
Oh,
none of that
I love
stuff, no
that.
no Microsoft, no Office, like nothing. And I'm like, please, the rest of the world. I mean, they all have their problems too, so no one's perfect.
We're literally on Zoom right
Perfect.
now.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I really feel like the thing is, the two things I wanted to kind of like maybe start to wrap up my own thoughts with is first is we are in a time of change and a time of reckoning, and that time is disrupted, and it's I mean it's not going to resolve tomorrow. It may not resolve next year, in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And I do think that's part of why it feels so oppressive and depressing because it's like, a lot of us are like, hey, we're heading into like whatever period of our lives and like we didn't think we'd have to be here right now, but we are. And
Mhm.
and there have been a lot of people who've been fighting fights at all different points in time in history. And so this is our fight that we're fighting. The other thing I want to mention is that to your point around like your life's pretty good, like my life is really good too, right? And I think that again, just to go back to that whole idea, like multiple things can be true at the same time.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
we can talk about things like reparations and
Yeah.
not say that that means that like, one group or one person or whatever is going to have to like destroy everything in order to like help someone else. And that's part of what makes it so complicated and why and it's hard and why people don't
Hmm.
want to engage in this kind of discourse and discussion. But like, if we look at as a quick example, like the land back movement, like I forget what award ceremony it was, maybe it was the Grammys. Like Billie Eilish just came out recently and was like, no one's illegal on stolen land, and then a whole bunch of like, more
She's my favorite, by the way.
MAGA people were like, oh, then give your house back because you're on blah, blah, blah land. And that particular tribe was like, we're not asking for her to give us her house. We are asking for the acknowledgement and like for a discussion around like, what does it mean? And like, how can we coexist? Because guess what? Like, we're not going to kick out all the people who ever immigrated here past a certain date, but we have to have a discussion around the fact, and like this is part of why I think this moment is so important for us, is because America, the United States of America, I should say, just to clarify, the United States of America has never had a full reckoning with our history of genocide
Totally.
and colonialism and what we
Totally.
have done here, and we just sort of glossed over it. And so we are really entering into a period of real reckoning, and so I think
Yeah.
it's long overdue.
I agree with you 100%. Preach. It is time. Like, let's go. And hopefully, you and I and all of our lovely listeners will be a part of that reckoning in a good way.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.